Good morning. I wanted to do a quick video because it's been a while. I said I would have more videos coming and then I got busy. But I just wanted to do follow-ups. I know I was supposed to have a COVID video, but honestly, I think COVID is over. Everywhere I go, there is traffic now. Part of me is kind of sad that there's traffic, but part of me is at least relieved that no more people are getting massively infected with this contagious virus. And at least we have more people coming out, but it does require that I have to wake up a lot earlier in the morning to go to work or to do videos or to do things like that. And even though I'm a little sleepier now during the day, at least there's an upside to that. I get to start out earlier and get more done during the day, provided I don't have to wait in line or in traffic. But what I really wanted to kind of go over is cryptocurrencies. And I know that I've left a lot of people in the dust kind of on my cryptocurrency blogs, but what I realize is I am not an investment advisor. And as such, I don't want to put myself at risk. Now, cryptocurrencies have done very well for me. And I've been doing them since, I'd say, probably about 2013 maybe-ish. I was dabbling in cryptocurrencies. I waited too long to get involved because I was afraid of it. I'll give you the background again on cryptocurrencies, how I got involved with it. I was a commodities specialist, which is similar to a stockbroker, but we deal with commodities instead of stocks. What are commodities? Quick education on commodities. They're everything that is physical and identical in unit when you're making something. So like, for instance, gold, bricks of gold, right? You got ingots of gold that are all the same shape and the same size and supposedly the same weight and the same purity. They are alike. They're virtually identical. They are a commodity. We use them as inputs to create other finished goods, right? So it's more like the raw materials. Coffee beans, like agricultural stuff that we grow, and it comes from the trees or the root plants or whatever. Lumber, right? We cut each plank in an identical form. So when you go to Home Depot, you can buy those planks, and the trees are virtually identical in the way that they're prepared for everybody. So basically, you get the idea. Oranges for making orange juice, apples, things like that. Those are all commodities, right? So I was a commodity specialist, and every morning I would watch the financial news because I was trading accounts for people. And everyone says that Bitcoin started in 2009. That is not entirely true. Because I was a commodity specialist in 2008, not in 2009. And that was the first time that I heard about Bitcoin. At the time, Bitcoin was crashing, and it was at like 32 cents. And it was all over the news. Oh, Bitcoin is crashing. Blah, the bubble is over, blah, blah, blah. But then I heard that it was all for programmers only, that you had to know technology to really be in Bitcoin. And so I kind of wrote it off. I just laughed it off because I was just like, what kind of idiot would be investing that much money in this kind of digital platform? Because I was dealing with physical assets. And at that time, I was a gold bug and a silver bug. I still am. Just not as much, because now I know that China is able to counterfeit gold. I don't trust gold as much, but silver I definitely love. I don't know of any counterfeiting of silver yet, because the way China counterfeits gold is they take tungsten, which is used in the old style light bulbs, and they get ingots of tungsten. They coat them with gold. They plate them with gold, basically. And then they try to pass it off as a gold bar because it weighs about the same. Has very similar, outward appearance, outward characteristics, not appearance, but characteristics, so that when you cover it with gold, the whole bar looks like a gold bar. It feels like a gold bar until you cut into it or you assay it. This is an issue that Ivan on Tech brings up quite a bit when I watch his videos. He talks about how gold is actually old school. It's ancient money technology now, and a lot of old people are failing to move on, like Peter Schiff, although Peter Schiff has recently signed on to Bitcoin after endless arguments with his son Spencer about why Bitcoin is popular. But people used to use gold as money because for 5,000 years, gold and silver, for 5,000 years, they held the value of what you've earned the best out of all forms of money. Paper money, you keep paper in your wallet, you keep paper in your pocket, like dollar bills. Then you throw your clothes in the washing machine, your dollar bills get destroyed, and there goes the value. If you think back to like the early World War period when the Weimar Republic was hyperinflating their currency, the paper became worthless to the point where people were wheelbarrowing the physical paper everywhere they needed to go to buy things. And if there's a story of a lady that parked a wheelbarrow of currency outside of a store. She went in to get toilet paper, came back out, and they had stolen the wheelbarrow and left the the paper money there on the ground because it was so worthless. The governments had printed so much that it was pointless to even use that money anymore. So she couldn't even buy the toilet paper. And so basically the money wasn't worth, the paper was printed on and it wasn't even worth what it could buy, the toilet paper. And so gold and silver have held their value because it's hard to print gold and silver. You can't. You really have to go through a long process of digging in the ground. Well, first discovering an area that might have it. You explore. Then you take samples by digging a little core sample, like a little pipe, hollow pipe in the ground, and pulling out a little strip of ground there. And you analyze the rock and see if there's any gold or silver ores in there. And then you can start mining, digging bigger holes if you see any veins in there, any deposits in there that you may think are economically feasible, meaning it's worth it to explore it and to actually dig it and develop it. Or, just you sometimes will take a gamble that, okay, you got a little bit of minerals there, so we're going to dig it anyway, even though we don't know whether it's economically feasible or not. That, to me, is not a really good way to go about it. But that's where you can also invest in companies that develop gold and silver. And this is why you need to be careful, because sometimes they're gambling companies. Sometimes they're not even developing it. They just say gold and silver in the name and you're going to invest in it. But anyway, they find the little bits of the gold and silver, they refine it or process it so that there's no other stuff in it for purity, right? They get rid of like the dirt and the lead and all the other byproducts that may be bonded in with the gold or like mixed in with the gold and the silver. And then they pour them into pure bars, 0.999% fine, because you can't always get 100%. There's always going to be some kind of impurity in there. And then they give them to make coins and bars, and people trade their dollars for coins and bars. Or initially they were actually using coins and bars. But coins and bars are heavy, and they're inconvenient. Back in the days, we didn't really have internet, so transactions were slower. Transactions were more local. Like you would do them in your city, unless you physically drove to another city or state in the United States, for example. It's not as easy in other countries because each country had their own currency. So you would have to do foreign currency exchange to change your money in order to do business in those other countries. But gold and silver were accepted worldwide. So if you had gold and silver, you could go pretty much anywhere in the world and still transact business. Over time, though, as the world started to develop and industries started to expand outside of local areas and economies became more connected and globalized, they needed something more convenient in order to do transactions. And paper was a lot easier to carry. It's not as heavy. Fast forward to today, we have developed into a globalized world where, economies have expanded so much that they really aren't fixed in any city or state anymore. They're international. You can find companies that are in every country around the world, every city, every state, well, for the most part. Uh, if as long as they're a developed, civilized nation, you can't go to Afghanistan and find a McDonald's up in the mountains of Tora Bora or whatever. Sorry, whatever the region is. It's early in the morning, so Tora Bora is probably not a good example over there. Uh, but but it for the most part, businesses are everywhere. We're in a globalized world with trade agreements and things like that. And printing of money has never been on the scale that it is right now, because now it used to be before. Let me go before. It used to be that when governments would print money, it was to keep their economy afloat locally. But now that businesses are international, they may be based in a country, and the government may try to keep that company afloat, even though the international community economics is not good. That company may be going downhill. So the government has to print enough money now to support not only the business that's located here locally, but now to support the business that is international. And not just business. A lot of times they provide assistance to expatriates or people who are outside of the country. But now, especially, they're even providing assistance to foreigners, especially the United States, because the United States has what's known as the world's reserve currency. Okay. So back when I was talking about back in history, when gold and silver were accepted worldwide, but currencies weren't, you had to change your currency to go to another country. The Bretton Woods Agreement was that the United States would then become the world's reserve currency instead of gold and silver, where if they did it at first by tying them to gold and silver, but then gradually by 1971, they had already cut complete ties between the precious metals and the currency that they tried to back them with. And then the complete role of the US dollar being the world reserve currency, where it is accepted anywhere in the world, was finished. And now they were able to print and send it overseas, and anyone could use dollars anywhere in the world. Until this day. Because now we have economies that are developed, we have economies that are undeveloped, and there are some places where people are starting to refuse using the dollar because they've printed so much of it worldwide that the dollar is becoming worthless. Come along Bitcoin, right? So back in 2008, I see Bitcoin as this computer program. I brush it off. It's going down. It's 32 cents, 31 cents, 30 cents. It's going to 0 cents. And it makes no sense to me. So I'm like, why should I even pay attention to this? Then we fast forward to 2013, and I hear Bitcoin again. And it's, it's in hundreds of dollars already. I can't remember. It's like $600 a Bitcoin, something like that. And that right away was like a slap in the face. Boom! I'm like, what? Bitcoin? It's still around? I gotta learn about this. Stupid me. So I had to educate myself. This is what I tell a lot of people today, who I try to tell them, really, cryptocurrencies are something you're going to use whether you like it or not. The world is becoming that way just because they make more sense than hauling around paper in our pockets, than using gold and silver bars, than using shells, rocks, whatever it was that we used to trade before. In fact, there's in Kenya, they were using, I think it was called M-Peso or May-Peso. It was, a lot of them didn't have banks in Kenya. They don't have enough money to go into banks. So when they get paid, they do buy phones to communicate. And over there, I guess you have to preload your phone with minutes and data. Like a few years ago when I went to the Philippines, I had to do that. I had to load up my card on my smartphone, and the company was actually called Smart, or Global. Smart and Global were the two companies where you load up prepaid phone cards, and then you use those minutes on those cards until the card is empty and you have to reload it again. They were doing that same thing in Kenya, where they load up the cards, and it's almost like it's like a calling card basically. You use that to load up your phone, and they started trading those calling cards as currency, as cryptocurrency, or as currency, because they didn't have a bank. So it made it easier for them to do trades in Africa. And the crypto M-Peso, or company M-Peso, began, or Mi Peso or M-Peso, I can't remember what it's called, something like that, M-Peso, started allowing them to trade their mobile minutes, or doing currency exchange on mobile phone. And they expanded dramatically. But now we have cryptocurrencies. And the dollar is basically a cryptocurrency because they digitized it, right? Couldn't print enough paper fast enough to equate the amount of dollars they were creating. So they just said to everybody, you know what? When you deposit your cash, we're going to put it in the bank. We're going to issue you a debit card, and you're just going to use your debit card instead of the cash. You just carry plastic now, and it's more convenient. So now your dollar bills are no longer paper. They're ones and zeros in your bank account. They're a digital currency. Not really a cryptocurrency, but a digital currency. And the bank acts like the cryptography. In other words, they try to defend the cash value that's in there by putting security layers and measures on your account so that no one can break in and steal the value of your money. But you have this third party, the bank, who's now deciding how much you can get access to, where you can spend your money, and sometimes they'll lock you out of your money, and they even charge you fees for using your own money. Ugly. So Bitcoin coming along changes all of that. It takes away the inconvenience of weighted physical material. It takes away the fees of the banking industry and the centralized location where you have to get approval to use your own money, because now it's Bitcoin. You can use it. It's your money. You can use it wherever you want. The fees have become really small to use it and to transfer it, unless you're on certain exchanges, which charge a commission that basically function like a bank, because they're a third party that's allowing you to trade the cryptocurrency on there. And it makes it more convenient in a much wider area economy, like a global economy, which quite possibly is soon to become a spacefaring economy, because we have Elon Musk assisting the U.S. government in flying payloads to the International Space Station. Elon Musk talks about, exploring Mars and perhaps inhabiting it. So, I mean, if we start to develop communities on other planets, gold and silver, good luck trying to throw a brick to Mars to pay for something, or to even ship it, because shipping is physical again. It takes forever to go all the way over there to the other planet to deliver the payment. So a transaction will take many weeks, or maybe even a year in order to complete. That's totally inconvenient. So cryptocurrencies are the way to go. They're digital. As long as our signal can reach those other planets, and it's a clear, fast signal, 5G, maybe 6G, we are entering a new era, a whole new world where things are going to be different. And I think it's not too far off now where, because everything is becoming digitized and decentralized, the communist people who want to control everything are trying to get control again because they feel it's slipping away. But they don't realize that their days are over. It doesn't matter how much they want to get control of it, it's going to slip out of their hands. You cannot control something that large. They're going to try to use technology to do it. And if they try to use technology to do it, they're going to become slaves to the technology themselves, because in order to get control over everyone, that would mean they're going to have to get the technology, or the overseer is going to have to get control of you as well, because it's got to control everybody, right? So that means you included. You're going to get swept up in that net of control. So we're on the precipice. We can go one of two ways, to me. The way I see it, either we're going to have governments be less relevant, and governments are going to have to humble themselves, and politicians are going to have to humble themselves and realize they're losing power by trying to gain more power. They're going to lose more power. Or they're going to become absolutely authoritarian, where they're going to crack down and just end all transactions altogether. And that it's not good for anybody. I mean, if we're a global society doing transactions and you end transactions, that's it. the economies are going to shrink. They can't do business. And so cryptocurrencies to me are amazing. All right, here's where it gets interesting. This is where the whole point of the video, okay? I believe Bitcoin is the end game of cryptocurrency. It is the only cryptocurrency that will be left in the end of this growth cycle, okay? Because it was the first, and so far it has been consistently the one that no one has been able to imitate in technology and platform and economics, and no one has been able to replace it yet. There are altcoins. Altcoins are a lot higher risk. I trade many and I hold many because when you make gains on those, Bitcoin may go up 10%, but the altcoins may go up thousands. It allows you to use the altcoins to leverage the cash that you invest in them to be able to buy, or I shouldn't say the cash value that you transfer into the altcoin to give it the altcoin that value. You can then use that altcoin value when it appreciates to purchase more Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin to me is the end all because it's a fixed supply, and we are at a point where Bitcoin has grown so much. Everyone who's been involved in it has had the experience of it and has talked about it. And some of them have stored it in places where they can't even remember how to access it. And since Bitcoin is a fixed supply, if you get a chunk of that supply and then you lose it, that supply is never accessible again. So that fixed supply that's available to the public actually goes down by that chunk that you lost. So now this much is available to the public. And then if someone else loses more, this much is available. And if someone else loses more, this is available. I mean, and what I mean by losing it, you may know where it is, but you may have forgotten the password to access that account. And or you may have lost the little flash drive wallet that you had it stored on, or the hard drive that you had it stored on. Maybe you carried it with you and it fell out of your bag, or someone stole it from you and they didn't have the passwords, the keys to get into it, so they can't access it, but they got your hard drive. Then they probably will never be able to decrypt the pass keys to get in, known as your private key. Or it's just the thing is damaged and you can't access it anymore. And so there's a lot of Bitcoin being lost because just people don't know how to keep track of things themselves, and those of us who do are benefiting from it. Then you have billionaires like Michael Saylor who have realized this fact that the overall supply is going down, 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 down. And what are they doing? They're buying crap loads of the supply that is still there. Crap loads and crap loads and crap loads. And what are they doing? They're holding it. They're not selling it anymore. Why sell it? Because if you sell it, what do you sell it into? You're either going to sell it for an altcoin or you're going to sell it for dollars, and dollars are depreciating in value. So why would you sell into dollars? Plus, if you sell into dollars, then the government goes, oh, I can tax you for income now because you sold into dollars and now it's my asset. So I'm going to tax the crap out of you. Meanwhile, if you hold it, you don't pay taxes. If you do sell into altcoins, they're going to say, okay, it was a property tax and you're selling into the altcoins, and they may even tax you for unrealized gains. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA. So I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you how it is. You can talk with your own CPA, your own advisor about it. And I'm just going to tell you what I do, what I hold. And I use okay, so anyway, to me, Bitcoin's the end game, but the ultimate end game is silver. Silver is, we're going back to the physical. But right now, silver is hard to store. So you have to, if you're going to go into silver, you have to really consider, how am I going to store the silver when I finally go into it? And then the other issue is silver is in fixed supply because they're not producing much of it anymore, because the price has been suppressed using the same kind of assets that they used for GameStop. The hedge funds can short assets that they don't own, and they can drive down the price dramatically. And the banks have done that with silver so that people will not flee the dollar. They cannot do that easily with Bitcoin. They can still short Bitcoin, But with the way things are going, it's very, very dangerous to short Bitcoin. Because people are now holding it. The price is dramatically jumping up, and I think we could see an even bigger jump in the price. Anyone who sells out of Bitcoin is foolish. So originally, when there are a few people that were invested in Bitcoin, the price can fluctuate dramatically. You can have a rally, a huge parabolic rise, and then the people who bought at the bottom down here are going to want to take their profit up here. So they can sell off dramatically, and you could see a 30, 40% drop in the price of Bitcoin. I don't believe, I could be wrong, but I don't believe that's going to happen again. I don't think we're going to see price drops like that anymore, because of the fact that people like Michael Saylor have figured out that the supply of Bitcoin is decreasing and there's not enough Bitcoin for everybody. So they're grabbing whatever they can to hold forever until the new monetary system begins and they use Bitcoin to buy things. They don't need dollars anymore. So we're witnessing what I believe is the forced dump of the world reserve currency into the new world reserve currency, which will become the new universal currency. It's not a global currency anymore, because if we go into outer space, it's beyond our globe now. It's into other globes, other planets. And so it becomes the new universal currency, which will be Bitcoin, until another technology, some another thousands of years down the road, finds a better way to do transactions than just Bitcoin. But I don't think that's going to be anytime in our lifetimes. So Bitcoin right now, we're witnessing a monumental shift, a monumental change in technology and in financial transactions. And I think most people cannot grasp what's going on. And the issue with the dollar is that the dollar is easily stolen. If you do a transaction, someone can get in there and steal it. With Bitcoin, you can verify the transaction, and it can be done in front of evil people, and the transaction will still go through, because it's cryptography, or it's enciphering. It's coded language prevents them from hacking it. And so it eliminates trust. You don't need to see whether the person on the other side has the money to buy what you're selling. And they don't need to see whether you got the product or not. You have to have it, because that's on the blockchain now too. And that transaction will not go through if anybody's missing the parts of the transaction. So like I said, I don't think the drops in Bitcoin are going to happen as much. We may get some selling, right? If somebody bought Bitcoin at $3,000 and it's now at, let's say it gets up to 70,000, they may say, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to take 50% profit. And it may start to drop, but it's not going to drop all at once. And even if it does drop all at once, you got a bunch of people like a Michael Saylor, like an Elon Musk, sitting there going, ooh, sale, 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 sale. And they'll right away come in and scoop it right back up again. So anyone who sells when the price drops, you're screwing yourself royally. That's always been the case. Why would you sell when the price is dropping? You want to buy when the price is dropping. You want to sell when the price is high, right? That's just basics of trading. But most people don't know that. They lose money because they get scared that they're losing money, and they sell out after the drop, and they wait to sell out. They get caught in this falling knife pattern, and they keep trying to hold on to it, and it's slicing through their hands. And that's only for an asset that's not valuable. And a lot of people can't tell the difference between a valuable asset and an unvaluable, or an invaluable, or not really invaluable, an asset that has no value. They can't tell the difference. A valuable asset and an asset without value. And so they buy a lot of the assets with value that are just basically like tulip bubbles, where there's no real value to it, but a whole crap load of people have bought it. And then they pay in at the top, and then it starts to drop because they saw everybody getting in when it was going up. They didn't want to be left out. They got in, and then it dropped, and now they don't want to get out because they're like, it'll come back, and it never comes back. They get screwed. Bitcoin, I don't think, is that kind of asset. It is the kind of asset where the future of money and transactions is Bitcoin. On the digital world. And eventually what you're going to do is you're going to for the big money that you make off Bitcoin into silver, and have silver be like your bank. It holds the value, and then when you need it, you transfer the silver value back into Bitcoin so that you can do transactions, because you can't do transactions with silver very easily. But it does keep the store of value. Or if you decide to travel, you can sell your silver, transfer the value into Bitcoin, and then travel anywhere in the world with your little flash drive, and then over there you can repurchase your silver again, with tax consequences, of course, because of the transactions. So again, this is not financial advice. This is just the way I see it. So the way I see it is, we're not going to get major sell-offs anymore on Bitcoin. Probably the most will be like a 20% sell-off. And a lot of people see that as a dramatic sell-off, but no. Compared to a 40, 50, 80% sell-off, 20% is small. And you don't realize the loss unless you sell at that point, at that bottom point. If you hold on and it goes back up, you don't realize any loss, and a lot of people have not realized losses in Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin, when they first got in, it dropped down like 80%. They held on until Bitcoin came back up and made a profit. Anyone who sold at the bottom, of course, you realized your loss. And so Bitcoin so far, over every 5-year period, has not lost money for anybody who stayed in, unless you, of course, you're right now bought in at this point and it drops again, then perhaps you'll be in the period you have to wait the 5 years for it to go back up again. But for anyone who bought at any point in time in the past, they're sitting pretty right now, because Bitcoin's hit all-time highs and it continues to do so. So that's what I'm saying to you. I don't believe Bitcoin will fall more than 20% ever again, and likely the fall in price is going to get less and less and less, because as more and more big institutions start to see that they should have gone into Bitcoin and they didn't. They were laughing at Michael Saylor, they were laughing at Elon Musk, and those billionaires become trillionaires. The rest of the financial world is going to be like, I have really got to get in there. I'm missing out on a lot of good gains. And then the rest of society, of course, the stupid people who didn't figure out that they need to get in. I'm sorry to say they're stupid people, because they are. People probably have told them about Bitcoin for years and they just can't grasp it, because they don't bother to do the research after you tell them. And so they wait until they just see that everybody's getting in, and they follow the crowd and they get in with them. And by then you're left holding the bag. All the value that you could have gained, all the transfer of wealth. Communists like transfer of wealth, but truly capitalists are the ones who get transfers of wealth, because they educate themselves about how things work and they place themselves in positions to prosper when things go in their favor. And they are able to capitalize off of that, right? And so capitalists are the true wealth transfers, because stupid people transfer their wealth to the intelligent people. So don't be stupid. Figure out things. I'm not saying invest in crypto. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying whatever it is out there, there are many opportunities. Cryptos aren't the only one, but there are many opportunities out there. I just don't believe there are any like crypto. Crypto right now is the opportunity of a lifetime. And people don't bother to get involved right away. It's like me, when I first saw it. When I saw it in 2013, I only put a little bit in, and then I was like, I gotta go educate myself. Stupid. I should have put a lot more in initially. Even $1,000. I didn't even do that. I only put like a couple hundred in, and then I went and started educating myself. It still turned out to be an okay investment, but I should have put thousands in. It was only after it hit 20,000 and crashed down to 3 that I started getting back in again, even more. And I bought a lot at 3,000 and have been educating myself ever since about how Bitcoin works. And so that is the end game. And now I hold many altcoins. I hold many Bitcoins. My main altcoin right now holding is Ethereum. I believe that Ethereum has been disrespected. Many other altcoins base their functionality on the Ethereum blockchain. So Ethereum is the primary means or mechanism by which they work. But Ethereum hasn't moved at all. And so it is severely undervalued in my opinion. So I invest a lot in Ethereum. I think at some point Ethereum will probably become close in value, if not someday surpass the value of Bitcoin in a lot of ways. But in the final stages, Bitcoin will be the ultimate. It will be the one where no other value will surpass it, because that fixed supply will be owned by everyone. And anyone who doesn't, or mostly everyone, and everyone who doesn't have Bitcoin will try to get it, and no one will sell it because they don't need to. They have it now and they're doing transactions with it. They don't need dollars. They don't need all these other speculative altcoins anymore, unless you find one that works well. And then you can maybe get into that, and someone might liquidate some Bitcoin for you to acquire. But the ability to get that fixed supply is going to dwindle over time. That's what Michael Saylor even says. If you sell your Bitcoin, I will buy it from you, and I will never sell it again, which means it will go to Michael Saylor, it will go to the Elon Musks or anyone else, or Raoul Paul, anyone who believes in Bitcoin. Now Peter Schiff, finally. I love Peter Schiff. I can't believe how stupid he was. He didn't grasp it. I mean, I guess that's kind of like me too. You know, you're a physical kind of guy. You're into the precious metals. You only believe in what you can hold, and you don't trust these digital things. But at some point, you got to realize it's not convenient. The physical thing is not convenient, you know, and at some point, convenience is what creates value. It's what makes it easier for us to function in this world. And if you make it inconvenient, people don't go do business with you. You look at stores where the driveway and the parking is abundant. So you can get in there, you can park, you can access the store. Any store that's in a place where there's like an island on one side of the street and it's difficult to get into that driveway, nobody does business with that store, and that store goes out of business. So your location of your store is important. But the location has everything to do with the convenience. That's why in real estate it's called location, 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 because location is what creates value. And you notice every McDonald's is placed in a location where it's accessible. It's a real estate company. They position their businesses in good locations. And so they do well when it comes to business. And it's also the brand name now. They're established. Everyone knows McDonald's. They want to go to a McDonald's. Then boom. Some people don't. I don't like McDonald's, but my kids love it. I like In-N-Out burgers here in California, and I'm not sure In-N-Out is all the way across the United States or even the world. So many of you don't even know what In-N-Out burgers is, but I know on the West Coast here of the United States, we have quite a few In-N-Out burgers, and I love that chain. Some people hate it still. But that place has lines galore, and they have good real estate, where locations where people can access the company and get to the business and get to the burgers, get to the food. So convenience outweighs the physicality in terms of value. And that's what Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies provide, convenience. All right, so that's my spiel on it. It's a long spiel, but I just had to get that out to you. If you like what I've said here, don't bother to hit that thumbs up, you know, or don't forget, I should say, to hit that thumbs up. Bother to hit it, right? Make sure you hit that thumbs up if you like it, and share it to everyone you think that may benefit from this information, or anyone who's curious about cryptocurrencies, or even anyone who just wants to hear this discussion, because it opens your mind to a lot of things about investing and about the future of the world. It may help you make better decisions in life if you have a better understanding of where we're going. And make sure you subscribe if you like my content, so that you know where my channel is. You can easily access it. It shows up in your feed. But the most important is hit that bell notification to tell you, and make sure it's set to all, so that it tells you whenever I upload a video. You'll know the next time that I upload the video. It'll show up in your news feed on YouTube, or even on whatever platform you're on. You can still subscribe and follow, and make sure you like what I post, so that you can be notified about it. Other than that, I I don't really have other topics. I do have other topics I want to discuss, but not on this video. And I need to get rest. I've been up all night working graveyard shifts, and then during the week I work a lot. I work a lot because I want to make a lot of dollars so I can turn them into a lot of Bitcoin and a lot of silver. So that's my main game plan: Bitcoin and silver, some gold too, just in case. It does pretty well. All right. Love you guys. Hope you're all doing well. I hope COVID hasn't affected you too much. If you've lost people during this pandemic, my prayers go out to you. My sympathies go out to you. In a lot of ways, I think some of the people who died didn't deserve to die. And I don't believe they died from the virus itself. I believe that it was often the care that they provided. I am a care provider, a healthcare provider. So I work in healthcare. I was part of a COVID unit, and I had no patients die under my care. But I heard of a lot of people who had patients die under their care. Sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes the virus did get their patient. But sometimes I believe it was either laziness, they didn't care for the patient well enough, so the patient died, or they were told not to care for the patient because the institution, like the hospital, was spending too much money keeping this person alive, and they needed that person to discharge, so that they could get in a new patient and get more government funding for their facility. And unfortunately, that's the way they were incentivized, because the government offered these COVID funds to many of the providers. So I said I didn't want to do another topic, and I'm already starting. But anyway, I'll just leave it at that. If you lost someone, I feel sorry for you, and my sympathies to you. And it's not the end. I've lost my relatives, a lot of close relatives, my father included, and it's painful, but you will move on. You will get stronger. You will not forget them. They become a part of you. And I know hard times are hard, especially with the economy the way it is, because of the death of the dollar. Stay strong. Stay positive. Stay optimistic. And I think there are a lot brighter days coming to us down the road. And don't end your life. Don't make a decision that you can't undo. Stick to it, tough through it, trudge through it, struggle through it, because when you come out on the other side, you will be much stronger. You'll be much wiser. You'll have a better understanding of the possibilities, and you'll have a better appreciation of the life that you have, and that you will have the pride that you made it for yourself instead of giving up. Don't give up. Never, ever give up. Giving up is ending the game. And you know what? The world is a beautiful place. You may not exist in one of those beautiful places, but it doesn't mean you have to stay in that ugly place. You can always move yourself. You can escape. There's a way to do it. Stay optimistic. Stay hopeful. Believe in yourself. Invest in yourself, ultimately, is the best investment. That is really what I should say the ultimate investment is. It's an investment in yourself, whether it's your education, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in just cleaning your house, whatever it is. Invest in yourself, whether it's your family, your relationships, your love, your work. Invest in yourself. God bless you. God be with you. Until next time, take care.